Coming up this week, I'm in awe of the beauty of Venice on the approach. I explore the canals and realize Venice isn't just canals, there's actually sidewalks as well. And I get a business class seat to Deadhead back from Italy yet again. Let's get started. So I'm pretty sure this used to be a 2 pound bag. Now it's 1.8 pounds. It says great for sharing. Hello, my name is Darren. I'm a dad. I'm an airline pilot. I am a husband of a scientist. And I am headed to the airport to do a very, very senior trip. Like, really senior trip. Uh, a trip that I could not hold. I saw this trip in the bid packet back in, July? And I thought, ho ho, wishful thinking. Uh, I'm going to Venice, Italy, but not just Venice, Italy. I'll tell you in a second. The captain of the trip is in the 30 seniority range. His hire date is on the screen. The first officer seniority is in the 600 seniority range. His seniority is also on the screen. My seniority is 8,190. I was hired in November of 2017. To say there's a large gap in our seniority is putting it lightly. Yeah. So how this all came about, I came back from Paris, France on Sunday afternoon, and there was a lot of weather Sunday afternoon. And there were lots of diversions and lots of issues were going on and yada, yada, yada. Well, whenever there's weather and diversions, airlines pull all the reserves in and they use all the reserve pilots they can and they reassign pilots. But sometimes people are on the wrong spot, planes are in the wrong spot, and just can't work out that they have to pull out the pocketbook and pay time and a half to get flights covered. And so there were actually, it was a really good trip I wanted today. Even yesterday, Monday, there's trips I wanted, but I couldn't fly them for legalities. But today they had Incheon, Korea open. All three spots, FO and both relief pilots. I couldn't do them due to legality. They both went, two of the spots went junior to me at time and a half. That's 28 hours and 50 minutes, I think, at time and a half. Really good trip. Couldn't hold it. That's fine. But there was also yesterday, there was a Dublin trip that was open they couldn't cover. Well, a pilot way senior to me in the 2000 seniority range, I've flown with him a few times. He's a player with schedule, like he's maximized his pay. He was supposed to work this Venice trip. He put in a ballot to the airline for a time and a half trip to Dublin instead, because that would pay him 27 hours versus the trip I'm on right now. The straight pay is 21 hours and 50 minutes. And he got it. But that left him, that made the trip to Venice open. It's called a conflict bid. Scheduling only does it when they're really desperate. Like if they can't cover a trip at all for today, they're like, listen, you have a trip in the future, you can't do both trips. We'll give you this trip right now, but we're about the trip later on. So this Venice trip went into open time. It's special because they are changing equipment. It is a 777 there and then a 787 back. We're flying the last 777 of the season into Venice. And then from there on out, it'll be from the rest of the next season, whatever, a few months, it'll be a 787. So it's a Deadhead back. That's why it's so senior, because you're getting paid 11 hours and change to sit in the back of an airplane and in a business class seat. When it went to open time, all the trips for today had already been assigned. They did have 2 long call reserves that could have covered it, and I figured, it's probably going to long call, but if you don't play, you can't win. So I put my ballot in for time and a half, thinking I wouldn't get it, right? Because again, it is my day off. I did clear out a lot of my schedule. I only have one other trip for the whole month right now. Again, today is August 5th, and I have one other trip for my schedule besides this Venice trip. That's Madrid, way later in the month. So I did purposely clear my schedule out. But then, if I get it, I get it. If I don't get it, that's fine. Because there was a Narita I wanted to that was working both legs. I could have legally flown tomorrow. I like going to Narita. But lo and behold, after about 30 minutes, I got awarded this trip to Venice. So it is relief pilot, but I have been flying a lot of FO trips lately. At FO trip to Paris, FO trip to Rome, um, FO trip to Dublin. So I'm way current on landings. So relief pilot trip, that works for me. It's fine, especially since it's only one direction, right? Now, because it is a 5:40 departure right now, again it's 3:28 in the afternoon. I'm way early. I gotta go about Walmart first. Um, I'm gonna be working till 3 in the morning or so. So I took a nap this afternoon. I knew about this trip ahead of time. So I started my day with the kids making them breakfast, cinnamon rolls and bacon. It's a good combination. And then uh, oldest daughter went to band camp. Youngest daughter went to local camp, day camp. And then I worked on my videos this morning. Again, wrapping up everything at home, working on my form for my dentist for my youngest for tomorrow, working on my driver. My oldest is her learner's permit coming up next week. Yada yada. Get everything wrapped up in the morning, and then I took a nap right around 11:40 this morning, and slept till about actually right at 2 o'clock, and I slept pretty hard until 2. Again, it's a skill, green arrow. It's a skill being able to sleep, quote unquote, on command. So took a nice 2-hour nap, and that way I'm paying my sleep debt forward because I'm going to be awake when I should be sleeping. Now I am going to, again, we're leaving today at 5:40 in the afternoon. I'll be on break by no later than 6:20, and then I'll probably get about a 3-hour and change break. So between like 6:20 and 9:20, I'll be on break. I'm gonna sleep again. Out of that 3 hours, I'll probably sleep about 2 hours, maybe 2 hours 20 minutes if I'm a good, time to rest and then wake up. So that's about 4 hours sleep I'll have toward my sleep debt. That normally on a normal night, I go to bed around 10 o'clock at night, sleep between 10:30 and 5 in the morning. So that's 6.5 hours sleep. So I'm still not fully repaid my sleep debt, but I'm paying a lot of it up in advance. So I won't be totally exhausted. I do have a Red Bull and I have my hot tamales. But that's just a little bit of thinking about how I go about preparing for this kind of trip. But easy trip, I think. And again, I like to work hard, not work smart, not hard. So working a trip there and heading back is the best combination, in my opinion. We do have a set of 787 pilots in the back who are deadheading there to work the trip back. So, and it's a 787-800, and people ask all the time, "What do I know about 787?" I know nothing about 787. In the U.S., we are not dual type rated. So what I can tell is we have a bigger airplane because we have one of our flight attendants that are flying over with us is also deadheading back. I think we have 9 flight attendants going. There's only 8 coming back. I think their plane holds 236, 232. My plane holds 272. So 40 seats fewer on their 787 than my 777. But it should be an easy trip. The FO I have flown with once before to Maui, Hawaii, in last December. It was also a deadhead to Maui on a 787 and fly back. The captain I have never flown with before in my life. So we're going to head to the airport. The plane came in from Los Angeles, so we are leaving from Terminal A. And I'm early enough that I have a choice between parking in the north lot and going directly to Terminal A, or parking in the south lot and going to Terminal E and taking the train around to Terminal A, or parking in the south lot, going to D, taking the train around to Terminal D. Regardless, I'm coming back to Terminal D. Terminal D, I can go to the north lot or the south lot. So we will see. But that is the trip for this week's video. Stick around and let's get this party started. So after surviving the crazy employee buses and the horrible roads, I did park in Terminal E this time versus go to D. Again, they're both on the south side of the airport. But parking Terminal D, took the E bus over, and this is a little more of a pleasant experience in my personal opinion because it's every other airline but my airline for the most part. The regional carriers operate a small portion of it, but cleared KCM. I was approved again and went through Terminal E, up the Skylink, over to Terminal A for my departure to Madrid. And again, this was a special flight, but I didn't know it yet until I boarded the airplane. When I boarded the airplane, I saw a stack of cupcakes in multiple bags right by the boarding door, and I knew something was up. Sure enough, it was the captain's retirement flight. This was his last flight of the airline. He actually had his wife on board. He had cupcakes for all of the passengers. Pretty neat. The part of this flight. I've never actually been part of a retirement flight before. He wanted to have the water cannon salute, but unfortunately, on this particular day, the DFW Airport fire department had too many of their trucks out of service, so they could not spare them for the water cannon salute. I was a relief pilot, and the routing over there was fairly standard. Nothing spectacular. You can see when they pull up our flights, we see all these different routes, and it depends on the FAA routing, what the company filed, yada yada yada. We can figure out which one is the correct one. This is the actual clearance. This is what it looks like when we print it out. Go to LIPZ, be the Triton forward departure, loose transition, then as file, climb be the SID, expect flight level 370, 10 minutes after departure. We have to look at the actual SID for our departure frequency. Our edict was 2239 Zulu. It wasn't that big of a deal, actually. And our squawk code was 3410. And you can see that we accepted the clearance via CPDLC. Now, one issue for departing from Terminal A is it's a very short taxi to the runway when we're departing to the south. And on this day, we were departing to the south. Terminal A, as you can see, is a very short distance between the pushback and the actual departure. And that could be an issue as far as having the flight attendants have time to do all their safety briefing in both English and Italian, right? Uh, Thankfully, on this day, there's a little bit more traffic down there than you see on my flight sim, but we pushed back from the gate. And I'm the relief pilot sitting in the middle. The FO started both engines, and we taxied away to runway 17 right. And as the relief pilot, I can see everything, kind of a big picture perspective from my seat. So I'm looking at everything that both pilots are doing, make sure the cabin's turning the right way, helping the FO with the paperwork coming out of the printer by my knees, and just making sure the pace is going well for the entire flight when I'm up front. Again, I'm only up front with both pilots as relief pilot just for takeoff and landing. En route, I'm only up with one of them at a time. So it's a little bit, we each we're only together for takeoff and landing. Otherwise, it's just two pilots up front. But we got to runway 17 right, normal departure, climbed up. I made the rest breaks and I headed back to the bunk for my break. We had about a little more than 2.5 hours break per person on the way over to Venice. Again, I came up front just past the Canadian airspace, the Gander airspace going to Oceanic, and I was up front for the rest of the flight. Now, this video won't do this justice. This is X-Plane 12. The arrival into Venice was breathtaking. It's one of the most beautiful arrivals I've ever had in my 18 years of flying. Coming in over the water and seeing the city of Venice off to the right, the island, and then the actual place where most people live are off the island is very unique. And seeing all the water taxis is very unique as well. Again, this is the captain's very last landing as an airline pilot, 777-200, and he couldn't ask for better weather. It was clear days, calm winds, nice heavy airplane because again, light airplanes don't land very well, especially the 200 in my opinion. And he made an outstanding visual approach to runway 4 right into Venice. Exit the runway, and it was a fairly short taxi over to the gate. It's kind of a weird, the airport's not gigantic, and from the outside, the airport terminal looks pretty old. Inside is very, very modern though. But pull up to the gate a few minutes early, and then he thanked every single passenger as they deplaned. The captain was a truly old-fashioned stand-up guy, airline captain. Thanked every single passenger. His wife waited on board, and then the entire crew and his wife. We took a picture right by the boarding gate, and we headed through to clear customs. And normally, I follow flight attendants in international arrivals if I've never been there before. Somehow, I ended up in the lead. I can follow signs to the exit, so I just kept walking. I figured at some point I'll see the customs area. So again, at the inside of the terminal is very modern, very new, but the outside you would think it'd be an older inside. Again, we were done after all the pastures are down below. And so I'm walking through. I'm thinking, well, at some point I will see signs that say crew or whatever. And I walk past these escalators because they had red lights on them. But they said, oh no, turn around. And we're supposed to go down the stairs. Okay. But we all cleared customs and immigration very quickly. And my flight attendant said, hey, you can go outside there and go to the vans. There's a black van outside. You can't miss it. I'm like, okay, but I've never been here before. Well, I went outside and I looked for the black vans. There were several black vans outside. I asked these nice drivers, and they're like, no, we're not picking you up. Turns out we were so early, the vans weren't there yet. This is one of the few times the wide body pilot actually had to wait for a hotel van. It was very abnormal. We waited for like 15 minutes. It seemed like I was on the narrow body again. Ha ha ha. But again, we walked in super early. We're supposed to be due in at 10:35. It's 10:21. We're on the curve, so we were really early. But the drive from the airport to the hotel is isn't bad. It's these like kind of country roads because again we don't stay in the city of Venice. We stay across the bridge. I'm not sure what city that's actually in, but got to the hotel. Short wait in for check in. This is a very small hotel room. I was expecting a little bit bigger, but it's kind of a small basic hotel for what I'm used to on the wide body. Anyway, yeah, I'm bougie. Anyway, time for the debrief. All right. Okay, so now it is 11:17 a.m. local, 4:17 a.m. in Dallas. Took a long time to get to the hotel. Not normal at all for the wide body. So I got the wrong time. I thought I had a sign-in time of 4:40. It was 4:20. I made it. Whatever. Got to the airplane. I was the last one aboard, and I walked on board and I saw a giant bag of cupcakes, like a lot of cupcakes. I'm like, this is not a normal flight. And I thought right away it might be the captain's retirement flight, and indeed it was. Super nice guy. I got back at the flight deck where I put my bag away, yada yada. Did the pre-flight. We pushed out early. We had a delay, an edict, and it was weird because it was a nice day. And so did it looked like it was Air France and Finnair also had they're sitting in they were sitting in an area for takeoff that's not normal for people to be sitting. I'm guessing they had edicts as well. But took off, and even departure was asking why we had an edict, why we were late, why we had a delay for no weather. They didn't know why. And we said, we don't know why either. And he did some investigating. It was Canada. Canada Air Traffic Control gave us an edict because they were low on manning. But I made the breaks about 3 hours each, and I went to the chair for my break, which I like I sleep better on the chair, but in the evening. I took that afternoon nap. Passed up for maybe an hour and 30 minutes of my 3 hour break. Went up front just before we coasted out to the tracks. Captain seat first. Talked to the FO. I've flown with him once before. We talked about contract stuff, making money, and all that kind of thing, and ways to maximize our pay for less work. He's very good at it. And then sat in the FO seat, talked to the captain quite a bit. Normal Italian um, accent issues. FO came back up. Beautiful arrival in here. Landed on 4 right. They use 4 left as a taxiway. A little bit, I'm sure I'll explain it to you. Like you taxi via Kilo to Mike to our gate, and you could come on Mike in 2 different directions. But whatever. But got to the gate. We were very empty on here coming out here. Only had like 100 people on board. We had 170 open seats. We were full going back. Um, Clearing customs was easy. Outside, waited a long time for the van, but now I'm here and I want to go to sleep. So I sleep now. More later. Okay. After a nap, I decided to head out and go to the city of Venice. The buses were crazy packed. Like this is the first bus that came up, and it was so packed. I'm like, I'm not going to be standing and shoving myself into a bus. I'll wait for the next one. Getting on and off, very simple. Tap on, tap off, just like London. But I was told you only have to tap off on certain places. Again, I only took one bus ride over, so I just tapped on. That was the end of the line, so I didn't have to tap off at all. And once again, I was blessed with a very nice day on my overnight. A little bit warm, but not super hot in Venice. Gonna hit the ground running. And I had no plans, no maps. I figured let's just follow people, follow the sidewalks, and see where I ended up. I did need food for my food hole, so I was looking for somewhere to eat. There is McDonald's on the island, but I did not go to McDonald's. I wanted something, small cafe, small restaurant to eat at. It took a while to get there, but again, I'm just having my camera in my hand, just appreciating the weather and the sights of Venice. Eventually, I did my phone up and found a restaurant that had good reviews. Again, I don't want a 5 star review. I want like a solid 4, upper 3 star review because at 5 stars, most of the time it's sketchy. 3.5 to 4.2 stars. I really believe that's probably a good place to eat. So I found a place, headed that way. A little bit of a walk. Again, there are wired taxis I could take, but I figured, hey, I have 2 feet. I need to close my rings, so let's keep walking and get there. And on the way there, I saw a classic scam. You see it in multiple cities around the world where someone's going to hand you something for free. In this case, they're handing out roses, and I'm like, there's nothing free. So he shakes his hand, offers him a rose. He's like, oh, thank you. And then they'll want money for it, of course. It's not free." I'm like, "Yeah, man." A place I was headed to was just a small Italian restaurant. I just wanted some basic food, nothing super fancy or anything. And menu looked fine. So I just wanted a simple lasagna, right? You can't go really wrong with lasagna in Italy. Here it is here. You can see the menu on the outside, small tables on the outside. I wanted to go inside. So I went inside, grabbed a table. They're very nice. They handed me a menu right away. I placed my order. The food was good, but it got kind of weird in that I guess I came at a weird time that they're all taking their lunch break. So I had my lasagna and they gave it to me. And they started making their own food. I'm like, that's cool, whatever. And then they all sat down to eat and kept turning away customers. And I finished my meal. I'm just like waiting. And they're just all hanging out. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just wait. And I waited and I waited. And then I did order a small dessert because I figured, hey, I've earned it because I walked. Haha. But had my dessert, finished up and left. It was just okay. A little bit weird service wise, but again, I did get food from my food hole, so that was the most important thing. So had lunch. It was not really worth €25, but it's what it is. Didn't go to McDonald's, right? Lasagna was good. Um, yeah, it is what it is, right? Eat local when you can. Uh, the clouds have now gone away. It's a nice sunny day, and I am just going to explore. It's kind of nice not having to be back at a certain time to go to bed tonight because I'm just deadheading tomorrow. So let's go see what I can find just by randomly exploring. I was gonna do a chat GPT thing and I'll just walk. All right. Now, growing up as a typical naive American, I assumed all the streets in Venice were made of water and there's very little places to walk. That's not really true. There are lots of canals, but there's plenty of sidewalks and bridges to get around the city. And I just wandered around, saw lots of people on the boats doing the tours and that kind of thing. Saw churches, saw old historical landmarks. It was a very neat and beautiful city to walk around. Lots of little stores to buy stuff in. Again, I'm not much of a souvenir buyer, but I appreciated what I could see and what I saw. Lots of historical landmarks and just history and beautiful places to walk around and appreciate. After walking around a lot, I did have to grab a couple bottles of water and some Coke Zero just to keep myself hydrated and moving. Because again, it was a very warm day. I avoid alcohol on overnights. It's just something that will either tire me out or give me a headache later on. So no wine or Spitzer's for me on my overnights. But after a couple hours of walking around, appreciating the sights, seeing the sights, I'm like, all right, let's figure out how to get back to the hotel. Well, I had walked so far. I'm like, I don't want to walk through all those canals back to the hotel. I instead decided to embark on a water taxi. Seemed simple enough. Google Maps kind of told me which one to take, but I was confused on how to buy the ticket. So I asked the agent how to buy a ticket. She told me which one to buy. It was like an all day kind of pass thing, whatever. It covered me for the boat and the bus back to the hotel. So I got the ticket, and she told me to go which line to go in, but I didn't seem like this was the right line because I was all by myself. Sure enough, I was in the wrong boat area line. I was in for a different kind of boat. So I kind of snuck under this little thing to get into the correct boat area. Hopped on the boat. It was a very crowded boat. Um, Made multiple stops, and yada yada yada. I should have been on another boat. She told me to go on because that boat was an express boat to the bus stop, and the boat I was on made all these stops. It is what it is. I guess I should trust my instructions the first time. But I got to see extra parts of Venice as we made multiple stops on the way back to the bus. Hopped on the bus, headed back to the hotel, and took a little break before going out for a small snack and, of course, going to a grocery store. Because, again, I wanted to buy some groceries for when I would inevitably wake up in the middle of the night. I wanted a snack and as well as breakfast in the morning. The hotel has a breakfast we could pay for. I'm not a big breakfast person. I just wanted some small things. So I bought some stuff for dinner and like snacks, like a sandwich kind of thing, small dessert, some fruit, my, of course, orange juice, and some pastries for breakfast the next day. Next morning, I got up early because, again, we didn't leave till the afternoon. So I went for a walk in the neighborhood around the hotel. I was going to go back to actual Venice, but I'm figuring there's nothing else for me to see really. I mean, I'm just gonna walk around some random canals. So I walked around the area around the hotel, people watching, looking at stores, canals. It's a pretty neat little area around the hotel anyway. About a 2 mile walk. Saw some interesting things. Saw some police cars all leave a certain area. That's kind of weird. But walked around quite a bit, did a lot of car observing. I love cars. I love European cars because they're small. I'm a small car guy, even though I drive a giant SUV as my fun car, but I like European cars. But after walking around, I decided to go get some coffee. I went to McDonald's. Don't judge me; it's consistent. But I went to McDonald's, went back to the hotel room, and now for the pre-flight, I guess pre-deadhead briefing. Okay, so it is in the 11 o'clock hour, heading to the airport soon, and good overnight here in Venice. It's unfortunate that it's the last one of the season. In fact, I'm told we didn't fly to Venice previously from Dallas. So who knows if it comes back next summer or not. We'll have to see, but I mean, it's going into winter just on a 787. But good overnight overall. Where we stay and where most of the hotels are, I think for like normal people, is not actually in this on the island, I guess it's called. So, but it's more of just a normal European, a little bit industrial kind of feeling area. It's kind of weird not, I'm dressed to go to work, but I'm just going to deadhead. I'm wearing this now, then clear immigration and customs and security, then I'll go into more comfortable clothes for the deadhead. Uh, Interesting though, I went to bed at like 8 o'clock last night, which was 1 p.m. in the afternoon in Dallas. And I called my wife saying, I'm going to bed now. And she's used to me calling in the middle of her workday saying I'm going to bed. But of note, I slept from 8 p.m. ish till like 1 in the morning, woke up for like half an hour, and then back to bed again until 6 in the morning. So I slept a full night, more than I normally do. I pay back my sleep debt. Except, normally I sleep 10 to 5 at home. So I had a full night's rest. I almost flipped into European time zone. So I feel great. I feel like I could go operate the flight back if I had to, but I don't have to. So, but late start today compared to some other places we leave from in Europe. So, but we get back late tonight too, like 6 o'clock. So there's that. We went for a nice walk this morning. Got my McDonald's coffee because yeah, and ready to head back to DFW. My next scheduled trip isn't for 2 weeks. So I'll have to do something next week. I think I want to go to London. I think I really want to go to London. It's weird, isn't it? But I kind of miss. I don't know. We'll see. But all right, I'm gonna finish packing up the room. I'm also uploading. Uh, by the time you see this, I did 2 videos in one day. I did a 2-day trip to LA, and then I'm uploading the Hawaii 3-day trip. I started the upload. I went for my walk because it took like an hour and a half to do the upload. I forgot that I was using my Android phone as a hotspot to share the hotel Wi-Fi, so I didn't actually upload while I was gone. It's uploading now. It's 50%, taking another hour and 40 minutes. I'm hoping it's wrong. Otherwise, I'll have to figure out how I'm going to do this. So, all right, let's finish packing up and head to the airport. So we all hopped on the hotel shuttle. Again, it's a 777 pilot crew, or just me and the FO really, and all the flight attendants and the 787 crew. And I was the most junior by far of all crew members on the trip. But we cleared security, and then I went to the restroom to change into my normal clothes. It's easier going through security, especially in foreign countries, in my uniform if I'm deadheading, than trying to go through in normal clothes. It just is. There's fewer questions this way. Again, I am on all the paperwork. I'm official, but it's easier being in uniform. Got to the waiting area. I finished uploading the video and I was like, okay, it's all uploaded. It's early in the morning in the US. And I was simply going to use the airplane Wi Fi in flight to go ahead and do the titling and all the other stuff. So I boarded the airplane. And again, as a crew member, I can board early if I want to. But I typically only do that if the flight is full and I'm in coach for like a domestic flight. For business class, wide body, international, there's plenty of room for my bags in the overhead bins. Not an issue at all. So I got all comfortable in my seat 1A on the 787. Again, the captain stayed behind with his wife for a week vacation in Italy. Uh, for this particular seat, I have a lap and shoulder belt, different than the normal business class seat. Especially if you face backward, then there is only just the lap belt. I did meet a follower on board, a lovely couple. Well, a lovely couple from they were from Midland, Texas. Thank you for saying hi to me. They were sitting right behind me. The wife said her husband was fangirling. I was like, I was surprised they knew who I was. I'm always surprised. But a pushback early launched out of Venice, fairly bumpy flight back. I'll be honest, it was pretty turbulent coming back. I'm used to it, but I can tell people who don't travel very much, it kind of make them a little bit uncomfortable. But again, turbulence is more uncomfortable than it is unsafe. I had lots of food, lots of LaCroix. Also of note, we can't have any alcohol when we're deadheading, even if we're not in uniform. Maybe you didn't know that, but now you do. But worked on some videos, played some Nintendo Switch, took some naps, woke up, still flying. Eventually, we got into the DFW for Fort Worth airspace, made our descent, and a great landing in DFW. Cleared customs very quickly, head outside, hopped on the sketchy employee bus, because again, it is sketchy. And I used to drive a bus in college. These drivers, yeah, yeah. Many of them are okay. A lot of them, yeah. But got to my car, and now for the post-flight debrief. All right, my car says it's 100 degrees outside, probably like 98 degrees, so it's just a little warm. So it gets over 100. It's not really hot. Back from Venice, and first, Brad and Laura Bond. Thank you for saying hi to me. So it, when people know who I am, it always amazes me. I went the whole trip. No one knew who I was. I didn't. My crew knows nothing about my videos, and I turned it on the airplane, and Brad was sitting in 4A. I was in 3 or 4A. I was in 1A, and he happened to know who I was. And I think his wife said something first, Laura. But yeah, it always amazes me when people recognize who I am. But thank you for saying hi to me. Very long flight back. And not a lot to report, right? So we got to the airport. I was in uniform initially, which helped with security because they don't understand the term deadheading. And the other pilot, because the captain stayed behind, the FO of the trip was in normal clothes. He didn't have a boarding pass, so they just thought it was some random guy walking through security. I mean, he had an ID, but it was a little bit weird. But oh wow, the fire station's gone. Oh no, it's not. It's still there. But we went through security, and even and so we have a speaker on board. We had 2 speakers on board, and the speaker was staying back with me and the captain of who was flying on the 787, because she said, "Hey, it's very confusing when you pass this checkpoint to go upstairs. They had 2 different elevators and a staircase, and the elevators went different places. So I followed her, and sure enough, 2 flight attendants got lost just for a little while, but." We just went through security, and then we flashed our ID at the immigration, and that was it. So that was easy enough. And then changed clothes and got my boarding pass. And it is kind of weird deadheading with my flight attendants who I was previously working with. It's like, that's kind of weird. I mean, but the purser was very nice, very professional. But she used my first name. Not like most time they say Mr. Bird or Mr. Smith. Said Darren, and I get it because why call me Mr. Bird if I'm just a coworker, right? But great flight over. We did hit some monster turbulence every now and then. I slept for about maybe 2.5 of the 11-hour flight, and there was no Wi-Fi on board. So this week I posted 2 videos, one about Hawaii, one about LA. And I had all the video editing done. I had my thumbnails done. All I had to do was post the descriptions and hit post, public, right? I said, well, I'll do it with onboard Wi-Fi. Not a big deal. I was posting right before I got on the airplane. Onboard Wi-Fi didn't work. So unfortunately, it did get posted late. It is what it is. But I am off for a while. It's Thursday. I'm taking Friday. I have Friday off, the whole weekend off. It's my oldest birthday, turning 15, which means she's getting her learner's permit next week. But taking off the rest of the week, and then first day of school's next week as well, so we'll see when I'm going to work next week. But hope you enjoyed the video. 2 deadheads in a row, both from Rome, both paid time and a half. Different months, but I got lucky. And with that, I will send it over to Darren to wrap it all up. So great trip overall to Venice. I'm glad I left the house early. I don't know why in my head I thought we left at 40 after, not 20 after. Because normally I get to the airport to start the trip because I like being on time and actually early, about an hour and 20 minutes before departure. I'm only required to be on airport property an hour before departure because they use GPS to make sure I'm actually on the airport when I report for duty. I reported for duty. I was in the terminal A at 4:20. I was at the gate at 4:20. I like to be inside the airplane at 4:20. Anyways, it all turned out fine. We left on time, arrived really early, left super early from Venice, and arrived on time back in DFW. As far as my pay goes, my hourly wages were $66.64.35. I was paid an additional 50% premium of $33.29.64. I get international pay just for the way there because I did Deadhead back. That was $51.25. My per diem was $203.90. And again, I've exceeded the IRS 401k allowances for the year. So anything my airline would have put into my 401k for me, they pay to me now in cash, so I'm getting a 17% bonus on everything I do. It's $1132.94. I'm able to get these kind of trips because I have an awesome wife that has a very flexible schedule. I live in base. I live close, mostly in base. So the start and end times to my trips most of the time don't really matter. And I'm a gambler, right? I get my monthly schedule and I drop a lot of trips. I clear up my schedule because I normally get just London for my trips. And again, there's 5 flights a day there from my base some days. It's going down because they're going to put a 787 on it soon, but it's the most common destination. So that's what I get as a junior pilot on the 777 in Dallas. No, I'm very fortunate to get to pick up these random trips and have more variety in where I fly. My name is Darren. I'm a dad. I'm an airline pilot. I'm a husband of a scientist. If you don't mind, please click subscribe, drop a comment, click like. Have a great day. And as always, thank you for stopping by.